This phone is cracking me up. Major, big time. This is the third time that I have tried to make this video. So something is stopping me. And I absolutely am getting mad now. Because I'm not talking about anything that would warrant the bad evilness to make this video stop. This is more about what's going on. So we're going to try this again. This is absolutely crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. All right, so most people right now are trying to figure out why nothing has happened. And when I say nothing happened, you know I'm talking about the 7 trumpets. And the answer to this is we're not quite there with people being awake yet. And you're going to say, well, Jackie, I keep seeing all these videos, all these different people and all these rappers are all making videos. People are waking up. And the answer is yes, they are. But you have to look at the perspective of how many people are on this planet. And not everybody's awake yet. Not everybody's on Telegram. Not everybody watches YouTube videos. And you have to realize that Facebook will not let you put these things on its platform. You can't put anything on there to show people because it will put you in Facebook jail. It's ridiculous, but that's what they do. I mean, I stay in Facebook jail. I open up to put something, I'll put hi, and I'm in Facebook jail. They don't like me in Facebook. That's why I don't post hardly anything in my Facebook page anymore, because I'm tired of going to jail. And then it affects my business page when I go to jail, because then people can't comment on my business page whether or not they like something or they'd like to order something. It's a mess. So I've just chose not to post on my Facebook page anymore, because I really need my business page to be able to run. So the bad thing about this is that even though these people are not waking up, and there are people that are waking up, it's still, the number are not where it needs to be. So we have to suffer a little bit longer. So when I said last year that we would get to a point of no return, was the military really going to push us there? Is this what was really going to happen? And it's happening. And the point of no return was people dying. And we're not talking about, 5 or 10 people. We're talking about hundreds of people dying. And if you know what happened in Hawaii, you know what I'm talking about. If you're watching what's going on with the Burning Man, you know what I'm talking about. This is going to continue. And we're going to have large number of people dying in these things. I'm not wishing anyone death, but this seems to be what moves the frequency for more people to wake up. But once again, there's still not a lot of people that really know what's going on in Hawaii. There's still many people who have no idea what's going on with the Burning Man. And if they're like me, they really never paid attention to Burning Man before because it wasn't their cup of cake. So they have no idea. I was talking to people today at work, and they're like, what is the Burning Man? I was like, well, I really don't know what it is. I just know that there's a lot of people stuck there, and it's not good. So that's what I'm getting at. So there's so many people that still have no idea that anything's really going on. They're not paying any attention, and they could really care less. So this is what's slowing down the planet from being at the high frequency that we need to be. We're getting there. We're getting there slow, like this, like snail slow. It's just awful. So this is why it continues. And it will continue until either a serious major event happens, which I don't even want to imagine what they would let roll out. So I'm not even going to even try to say one. So whenever that happens, then maybe more people will snap out of it. But it's all of the years of the brainwashing and the conditioning that we've gone through that makes it a lot harder for people to wake up. If they're comfortable in this lifestyle, then of course they're going to not want it to change, and they're going to try to hold on to what feels familiar to them and what feels good to them. So letting go of the ego is really hard for a lot of people. It's not easy. But as God told me that in order to go into the future, we have to let things go that are not good for us, things that actually hurt us. Because if we bring those with us into the future, then 10, 15, 50 years down the road, guess what? This happens all over again. So everything that's bad, everything that's not good, anything that we don't need, it needs to stay here in this 3D. It doesn't need to go with us into the 5D. And ego is one of them. Once you let go of your ego and you become humble, then you have moved up in your frequency, and it's like an easier transition into the future. The future is going to be more of a basic form of life. And I don't mean Little House on the Prairie. I don't even mean the Waltons. I just mean that people aren't going to be trying to outdo one another anymore. They're going to buy what they need. They're going to live right at their means. They're going to be changing their whole attitudes on things, and people are going to be wanting to give more than they're going to want to take. I mean, you're probably going to have people going around making bread and knocking on your door and just giving you a loaf of bread, and you'll be like, no, here, take my butter I just made. I mean, it's just, I know that sounds stupid, but it's just the way that it's going to be. More people, instead of taking from you, are going to want to give. And it's going to be a whole lot different than it is now. You've got people that right now, they go out looking for a house, and they'll want something really, really big, and they want it brand new, and they want it, here, and they want it in this neighborhood. They want it because of the school, they want this, and they want that. And the husband may say, that's like way out of our price range. Well, you're just going to have to work some overtime because that's what I want. Well, then the guy does it. Why? It doesn't make any sense. You see where I'm going with this? So in the future, people aren't going to be like that because, number one, you're probably not even going to have to go to school. Probably going to be more homeschooling than there will be going to a school. And that's just going to be option for people. I see more of very small rooms that maybe someone in a neighborhood may start, and that would qualify as homeschooling. And it's just the kids on the street all go to the same school. Basically, all kids need to learn is they need to know how to add basic math, unless they're wanting to be an architect and build a bridge. And then if that's what they want to do, then they should go on and learn more. But as long as they have their basic math, can add, count money, know how many steps, how to read a ruler, how to use a tape measure, how many eggs to put in, to bake a cake. They know how to count, know their math, know how to read. Reading is very important, but anybody can teach anyone how to read. You just have to have the patience. Know how to write, because that's a form of communication. And just know general stuff, general science, general geography. I mean, I don't think we really need to go in, and learn every continent on the planet, but, have a general reading where you can at least look at a map and know where Russia is and know where China is and know the difference. Maybe know what the capital of that country is. But I mean, as far as that, we don't need to know, how many woods they have and, what grows at this time of the year. All that other stuff is beside the point. You know what I'm saying? Unless this is something, a way of life that you're going to do where this would be important, then you should take the next step and then you go into that further. But I'm just talking about basic knowledge. And then I think kids need to learn civics, and everybody's going to relearn history. So history will just be a must because we have to understand it. And I think they need to understand how the government works, which is civics, but we also need to know our Constitution, and we need to understand, our basic laws that are going on. Kids need to be told right from wrong. They need to understand that if you do wrong, these are the things that can happen to you. So kids need to learn how to think critically to make the right decisions. And I think more people need to step up and, test children to make them think on their own, not give them the answer, not lead them to the answer that they want to have, but let children think and then explain to them why that might have been the wrong decision, or why maybe next time they need to pick a better decision or something like that. So they need to do some critical thinking. But yeah, anybody can teach this stuff. I could do it. Just basic stuff. And then, like I said, if the child wants to grow up to do a different type of job, then they would go on to a different form of education, like a college or something like that, where they would go that step farther to teach them the other things. But how many times have any of y'all needed to know, chemistry? I mean, if you know how to read and you know right from wrong, and it should say, if it says, do not mix this with this because this will happen, do you actually really need to know chemistry because you need to see the effects of what happens? Or can you just read it and say, you know what? If that's on there, that means I better not put this and this together. That's just how I see it. So I was never one for chemistry. Just basic stuff, don't pour this into this, things like that. But I mean, I don't have any need for it because I don't want to be a chemist. I don't want to, mix things, create things, nothing like that. So I have no need for that. And most people don't have a need for it. How many of you, build bridges? I don't have a desire to, design bridges and make skyscrapers and things like that. So I don't need all that extra math. I don't care. That's not what I want to do. That's not my thing. So why should I have to spend so many years learning this stuff that I'm not going to use? But if there is someone who desires to do that stuff, then yes, let them learn it. Let's teach them, It doesn't mean that no one's ever going to know how to do it. People will want to know how to do it. It's just certain people don't, like me. And I'm sure there are many people like me who could really give a rat's butt about how to use that type of math. I don't care. That's just not what I want to do. If I need to build something, I use my common sense. And if it doesn't work, then I'll be like, okay, I'll find someone else to do it, It's just simple. I know how to use a ruler. I know how to use a tape measure. I know how to count. I know not to hit my thumb when I'm hitting the hammer onto the nail. I know to move my thumb out the way. So I've got basic knowledge. I can do a little bit. I may not be the greatest at stuff, but I get by, and that's fine. That's what people used to do. They learned by doing things, and then they got better at it. So kids don't need all that extra stuff, when they're young. Let's not even think about that. And if you're getting mad at me, I don't care. But I'm being honest, let's teach them how to grow plants and vegetables. Let's teach them about why we don't kill bees, and, doing this and doing that. Basic things to help the planet, why we don't throw trash in the ocean, things like that. Let's teach them basic, knowledgeable stuff that does benefit instead of crap they don't need to know. Like when I was in high school, they wanted me to take algebra. I said, I don't want to take it. They're like, why? I said, because I don't get why A and B equals C, because I don't give a shit. I said, if I want to take spelling, I'd go back to English. And they were laughing at me. I said, what do you mean? I said, that's exactly what. I said, I've looked at it. A plus B equals C. I said, I don't give a shit. I don't want to know it. And I got out of it. Didn't help me none with my credits and stuff, but I got out of it. I just didn't go. I took another class. I found another history class, and I just left my algebra class and walked into across the hall and just sat down in the other room. And they're like, Jackie, what are you doing here? I said, oh, I'm in your class now. They're like, really? Like, yeah. So I took that class. I did that 3 times in high school. It's crazy. If I didn't want to take a class, I wouldn't do it. I would just I'd find another class. I'd ask everybody, hey, is there like a drama class somewhere at C Block? And they're like, yeah. I said, okay. And I would just walk in, sit down, and take whatever class I wanted to take. Guidance counselor was so mad. He said, stop doing that. You can't just take classes you want to take. You have to go through me. I said, well, I don't want to take those classes. I said, I don't want to take algebra. I don't want it. I don't want to know it. I said, I'd rather take something else. Give me a credit for something else. So that was just me. But I was always a rebel. Not a troublemaker, but you couldn't control me, and you still can't control me. And that's just part of being the light worker. And if you meet other light workers and you talk to them, they probably were almost the same way when they were kids. You couldn't control them. have their own way of thinking, their own way of doing stuff, and just couldn't make them budge. We're very strong-willed people, very strong-willed, and we have to be because of what's happening now. If it wasn't for us being that way, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do now. So it is kind of funny. I'll have to tell y'all more stories of things I did when I was younger. Y'all will crack up with some of the stuff I did. But what I'm getting at is we have to change the way that we think. So we have to quit thinking about, I want to look better than the person across the street. I need the better looking clothes. I need people to stare at me. I need people to drool when they look at me. That way of thinking's just got to go away, you know. And I noticed as I had gotten older, and I really wasn't that old. I was probably within my 20s. I never really, let's just go back. I never really was one who looked for name brand stuff. I would go to the mall and I would find a pair of pants in one store, and I would go to a totally different store and then find the top part to it. And I would make my own outfits. So all of my clothes never looked like anyone else's, even though maybe they owned that suit that pants went to, but I didn't wear the top. And everybody asked me, where did I find my clothes? I said, well, I design them myself. I said, because I don't want to look like anybody else. I want to be different. I want to be me. That's how I expressed myself. So I was never one to try to outdo anybody because I didn't care. But even as I got older, I kind of stayed with that mentality. And, you know, I don't go to the mall to go buy clothes unless they have a sale. But it's not like I go to like the big name brand expensive stores to buy these outfits, because the clothes aren't made any better than anywhere else. They're all probably made by the same Oriental people in a warehouse in the dark at a sewing machine, probably 12-year-olds. So it doesn't really matter, you know, to me. It's not like the clothes are better quality sometimes. Sometimes you can just buy clothes at, you know, Bob's Bottom Basement and find you a really nice pair of jeans and a shirt, and it lasts you longer than the one that you got at Macy's. You know, it just all depends. So it just doesn't bother me as long as I'm clean and as long as I'm dressed and as long as I'm decent. Then why should it matter? And I think more people are going to get that way. They're going to quit thinking about trying to be fancy and, you know, so much better, and they're just going to be humbled. And the more that we have to go through this, the more bad stuff that we've got to go through, it's going to make you more humble. It really is. And you're going to change whether you like it or not. Because if you don't change, then guess what? You don't get to go forward in the new world. And that's just as simple as that. Only a certain energy is going to be able to go forward. And that's going to have to do with everything. My understanding is, in order to get your money from the quantum, get your phone and your tablet, they have to read your energy, because everybody vibrates differently. Everybody has a different frequency. And they're going to go by that. But if your vibrations are low, they're going to know you're a bad person. And you're not going to get anything. You're not. You're not going to be able to do it. It's only going to be people that are at a higher frequency. And you're probably thinking, oh, Jackie, that's so terrible. But it's not. Why would we want a bunch of people that all they want to do is hurt other people, manipulate other people, use other people, physically hurt other people? Why do we want them to get thousands upon thousands of dollars and live a luxurious life? You know, things that they've never were able to have before. So they continue to be murderers and rapists and bullies. And we want that? No, that's not what we want. So either they have to change, they have to move up in the frequency, or they just don't get to go forward. They get to stay here. Maybe they'll have like a little island like they did in the, the Battle of New York or something like that with Kurt Russell, you know, whatever that movie was called. But anyway, what I'm getting at is either you're going to move up in the frequency, you're going to change who you are, or you're not. No one's going to force you. You're just not going to get to go forward if you don't. The world can be a beautiful place. And we can make it as beautiful as we want it. But the right people have to be there. And it has to be people that have moved up in their frequency, who see things for what they are, who want to help their fellow brothers and sisters, and want to make sure that we never get in this predicament again. I don't think I could come back and go through this again. This is the most god-awful movie ever. And if I could get my money back and hand in my popcorn and my soft drink and get in my car and leave, I would. This is awful. And I hate it. And I'm not going to lie. Even though I know what the future's going to look like, and I have an idea on different things that I'm going to be led to do in the future, which I'm probably going to be really, really busy. I just know that I couldn't do this again. This is awful. I can't stand seeing people suffer. I can't see all these people dying. It hurts me to the core. My heart just feels like it's breaking every time I hear about these children. Like the one child where they found him hugging the dog in that fire. Either the dog stayed with the little boy or the little boy stayed with the dog. But beside the point, either one of them left each other. And I cried. I said, oh my God, I gotta get away from the computer. I had to go do something else. That hurt me. I don't know that little boy. I didn't know that dog. But the love that the two of them had, that either one of them left each other. They stayed there and burnt. And I tell you what, you ever stuck your finger in a fire and you pulled it out really quick? Imagine not being able to pull your finger out of that fire. That's what that dog and that little boy went through. They felt every bit of that till they died. You understand me? They felt it. And it's a slow, painful death. It's not quick, like a decapitation, really fast and done with. You don't feel it. No, they felt it. And evil people allowed that to happen. Evil people, more evil than you can imagine, allowed that to happen. And do you want anybody like that coming with you into the future so they can burn your house down later on down the road a few years from now? No, you don't. So don't say you do. So don't get mad at me what I'm saying. You understand exactly what I'm saying. We cannot allow evil into the future. Now, let me clarify something when I say this. God gave us free will, and nobody can take that away from us. That is what God gave us, free will. So you can make the choices that you want to make. You just have to make the right choices. And you have to understand, with every choice that you make, there is a consequence to it, whether it's good or whether it's bad. So this is why you have to make the right decisions. In the future, you're going to have more choices than what you have right now. So you should be able to make the better choices. You should be able to make the right choice. Should be none of this, you have A, B, or C, and none of them are good. And you have to pick the lesser of the two evils or the three evils. Okay, that's not going to be in the future. So you're going to go all the way to Z. You'd be like, wow, I can go that far and make a choice. Oh, nobody understands what true freedom is going to be like. And it's going to be hard on lots of people to understand this. But still, you have to make the right choices. No one's going to make the choices for you. No one's going to tell you, well, maybe you should pick that one. No one's going to do that. It's going to be completely up to you to make those choices. So this is your free will. But if you make a bad choice that leads to something that happens later on down the road, that's your consequence to it. Now, if you decide that you want to see what it feels like to rob a car, just because you just want to know what it's like. So you go across the street and you go rob someone's car and you get arrested and you go to jail. That's your consequence for that decision, right? Okay? That's why you're going to make the right decisions. And it's not that it means that you're evil. It just means that you're making very bad decisions. But if people do want to know what it's like to hurt another human being, then the consequence when you get caught for that one is going to be more severe. You get where I'm going? So it's not like we're going to get rid of your free will. There'll still be free will there. And people are going to still just try things out because that's just human nature. I'm talking about the evil that is here right now. All of this disgusting stuff that's going on. That's what I'm talking about. That is not going to go forward with us. The free will gets to go because that's our gift. That is what God gave us free will. Just the evil, the pure, disgusting things that are going on. And trust me, I'm not even going to go into what I'm talking about. Hopefully you have ideas what I'm talking about. If you can't, just watch a few horror movies and imagine that's what I'm talking about. That just can't go forward. So that's where people's vibrations and their energy levels will be read. And if they're just not at par, this probably means that there's something very sadistic inside of them, and it cannot go forward because they will act upon it, because that's just their nature. Some people, they're so consumed with this evil that they don't know anything else. And that's sad. It's sad to know that people were born like that. Either they were born that way or they were tortured to become that way. I don't really know. I just know that getting in someone's head that was like that, all I saw was darkness. There was nothing. It was like a hole, like a very deep hole. There was no ending to it. And it was scary, very scary. And I said, I'll never, ever want to get into somebody's head like that again, because it was awful. I can do confusion. I can do, weird, but that evil, no. You have no idea what that's like. There's nothing. There's no light of God. Let's just put it that way. No light of God in people like that. And you cannot redeem them. That is between that person and God. And the middleman, us, we can't fix that. There's no fixing that. Now, we can fix someone who's disturbed. We can fix someone who's confused. We can fix someone who's making bad choices. That we can do. That we should do. But hollow, deep, dark blackness, no. No. I wouldn't give any of my light to go in there, because it would just be sucked up, gone. There's just nothing there. I wouldn't do that. I would not give anybody like that my energy. Anyone else, confused, misled, lost, yeah, definitely give them some light. Everything I got, I would, but not evil people. So they cannot go forward. They can't, because they will continue to do what they do, and they're like a fungus, and they'll contaminate anyone that they can get around. It's just awful. It's like a black mold. It just spreads everywhere. Might take a while, but it would. So we've got to make sure that just doesn't happen again. And that's why only the light of God people get to go forward. So hopefully that kind of explains it to you on a more of a spiritual level there. And if you need me to break things down, or you need to message me, or you want to email me and me go into it deeper with you, I definitely will, guys. I'm trying to do the best I can here. You know me, I don't write anything down. I just go with the flow, and then if God needs me to change something, He tells me, and then I just go ahead and I kick into whatever He needs me to say. But the thing that I wanted to get across today is, yes, it is taking a long time. And I do understand why it's taking a long time. But it does not mean I like that it's taking a long time. So you're okay if you're not happy about it. You can understand why and not be happy. So that's okay. I just want everybody to not give up hope. I don't want anybody to think that this has all been, a bad, let down. It was all a psyop or whatever it is. Yes, the good guys are playing psyops with us. I'm not going to say that they're not. They are. They're using people as well. And I don't question, because I don't like the answers I get from God when I question things. So I tend not to ask too many questions on why they're doing what they're doing. I can tell you that it's most probably so the bad guys don't know what's going on. So we have to get confused and lied to a little bit to make sure that the bad guys don't know what the good guys are doing. I don't like it. You don't like it. I'm sorry. And there's nothing I can do. I'm not getting any intel from them. And as much as I know that they know who I am, they've known who I am for a long time. They had to have. I was one of the first psychics that said that Donald Trump was going to be the president before he did his first rally, before he made his first speech with other people on stage. I had told people that minute he came down the escalator, that was the president. And I immediately lost so many people on my Facebook page from that one. But I was right. I was right about a lot of things, and I'm still right about a lot of things. Just know that I know they know who I am. They have to. And so do the bad guys. So that's why I stay small. That's why I don't try to, build up my following. I don't need to. If my idea is if people need to hear what I have to say, they stumble upon it. It's for people that need to hear it. I don't need a following. I don't need 5 million people logging into my channel so I get, a paycheck from YouTube every month. No, it's never like that. Do I think that as time goes on, that more people will find out who I am? And the answer is yes. I really do. I've made some really crazy predictions here, especially with the last hurricane. And there's just no way that I would have known that. Like I said that it would turn into a Category 3. I said that while it was still a tropical storm. And everybody said it would only get to a 1. I'm not trying to brag on what I'm able to do. I just know that I get things right when I'm supposed to. And these are things that you just couldn't guess. And I think because of that, they know who I am. And I think eventually more people will find out who I am. And I think that's when, after we reset, that maybe I become a little bit more, I don't want to say popular, but I'll be doing a little bit more, and then more people will figure out who I am. That's when I'm really going to shine, is afterwards, since God allowed me to go into the future and see it and feel it and smell it. I could almost taste it. So I have a good grasp of the future. Getting to the future, now that's a different story. I go by what God allows me to see, which is not a whole lot, because if I was to tell everybody exactly when something was going to happen, then the bad guys would know about it. So that's why I can't tell you, because I'm not supposed to know. It's not meant for me to know. It's just meant for me to explain to you things so you can understand how we're getting there, why we're getting there, and then once we get there, that's going to probably be my big specialty there. I will tell you that when I stepped through that mist, I thought it was like up on a cliff, and I saw all of the gold in the houses and how peaceful, and I felt God hug me. And when I say felt God hug me, it was like a hug, but I could feel it in my spirit, in my bones. And then he just pulled me out. It was beautiful. There was so much love and peace and caring. It's going to be beautiful. And we're going to make it beautiful. So whatever we do is what that will become. That's why we have to get it right. That's why people that have been able to see the future are going to be so important, because we need to make sure that everything that we do leads us to what we saw and what we felt. Because if it's not that, then we won't get there. And I want what I felt, and it was beautiful. That's what I want. And I think that's been really the hardest thing for me, is to go through another year of this stuff when I thought by now for sure we would already be going into that transition to where we should be. And it's just not there yet. And I do get disappointed. I do get sad. But I understand why it's taking so long, because just not enough people are awake. And the only way they're going to wake up is for something traumatic to happen to them. And it forces them to reach out to God. Because until then, we get to suffer. And the more people that wake up, the more people have to suffer. Until eventually there'll be more of us and less of them. And then maybe that'll tip the boat. So don't give up. I'm not saying that this is going to take a whole nother year. This could end by 6 o'clock tonight. if that's what God wants. I don't know. I do know that something is going to happen this week. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's going to be another big intel drop or an arrest, but I feel like something is going to happen. So I think our timeline, I think the end of this phase would be in at least November, which means it could end before. But I think once we get to November, it has to have rolled over to the new phase. There will be a phase 2. Phase 2 comes after the emergency broadcast. This is where we start the learning phase and the coming out of shock phase, and we're seeing more rest phase. And phase 2 may be as long as phase 1, which we're in phase 1 right now, or it could be a little bit shorter. Then after phase 2, we'll go to phase 3, where we're adjusting and we're starting to put things into motion and we're making things happen. This means that people will probably be building homes, people will probably be moving, people will probably be starting their businesses or already have their businesses started and really get going, assisting others in starting businesses. We'll probably see, I see a lot of movement. So there's probably a lot of people moving around. Phase 4 will be the last and final phase, which will be we're there. We're adjusted. A phase 3 won't be as long as phase 1 or phase 2. Phase 4 is the rest of our lives. So that's what God showed me. I'm more than positive I'm right on this, because I told you that I saw people hurting themselves after they see the 8-hour things on TV. The more that people learn how bad they were lied to, some people are not going to be able to handle it. And I have to explain this again. So if someone you know does this to themselves, it is not your fault. You couldn't stop them. You can tell these people all the time they don't want to hear it because they're not ready to hear it. They'll be ready to hear it when it's time for them to hear it. And how they handle it is on them. All you can do is try to plant the seed, and if it doesn't take, it's not your fault. So I don't want anybody to be upset when we get there, because you're going to learn about a lot of people that you know, that you love, that you care about, probably family, that just couldn't handle it. And it's not going to be for everybody. I don't mean it's just not going to be for the bad guys. I mean it's not going to be for some of these people that we live with right now. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that they couldn't handle it. And maybe that was their purpose. I don't know. I don't know everybody's purpose. I have a hard time sometimes remembering what my purpose is. But there's going to be a lot of changing going on, and it's going to be exciting, and there's going to be moments where it's going to be depressing and it's going to be sad. Like it's sad right now, it really is. But I don't want anybody to feel like it's their fault. They're like, I tried to tell him, and I told him, and I told him, and I brought the videos over, and I showed him the pictures, and he always said, yeah, whatever, laughed at me and shut the door in my face. All right, well, guess what? You did everything you could do, so you couldn't prevent it from happening. So don't be mad at yourself. You can mourn over these people. We can praise the Lord and thank that they were with us for as long as they were, and what they brought to the table and what we learned from them. Good things or bad things, it's still a learning experience. So you can't just say, oh, he was always mean. He always, did this, and I had to learn to not park my car over there. Well, guess what? You learned something. You learned not to park your car over there. So you learned something. So whatever that person brought to your life, you learned something from it, whether good or bad. So they did bring something to the table. So it's just that it was time for them, their session to go, and they'll come back, and hopefully come back in a better form and a better, way of thinking, maybe a little bit more awake than what they were this round. I don't know. And that's just the way I'm going to think about it, because it's sad to think that someone's never coming back when we know that you do come back. You do come back. And if someone wants to argue with me that, we'll do that privately. We're not going to sit here and tie up comments on anything that I say and argue, because everybody has their own forms of belief. Either you believe or you don't believe. And that's your choice, because guess what? You have free will. So we don't get into what I believe and what you believe and the differences and who's right and who's wrong at all. At least it stopped raining. So I just want to make sure everybody's ready. Everybody is prepared. Because like I said, it can be any time. The groceries are probably going to go up more because of the gas. Probably everybody should just about be paying close to $7 a gallon here soon. And trust me, that's just not going to be fun. That's going to make it really hard on everybody. So, right now, do what you can do. Get yourself prepared for the worst. And if it doesn't get that bad, then you thank God that it didn't get that bad. And if it gets worse than what you thought, at least you know that there's a possibility it can. So it won't catch you off guard. You shouldn't be shocked. I can't tell you how bad it's going to get. I can't tell you when it's going to end. All I can tell you is that we're just not done yet. And I think it gets a little bit harder before it gets better. So there's a lot of people throwing out dates. There's a lot of people throwing out time frames. Ignore them. Just ignore them, because it's going to make you sick to your stomach. Like I said, I'm thinking up into November. So don't worry about if Fred tells you that it's going to happen, on Friday, because it could be another country. See, they were talking about something that happened at the end of August. And I kept thinking, well, there's a possibility, but I'm just not picking it up. And it ended up being Africa. That's what happened at the end of August. It was Africa. So it could be another country. It doesn't necessarily mean when they throw out a date that something's going to happen, on the 15th. Maybe it's something that happens in the Ukraine. Maybe it's something that happens in Taiwan. Maybe it's something that happens in Turkey. Do know all these other countries are going through what we're going through, and everybody's going to go through a change. We're supposed to be the last ones to roll out, guys. The last ones. So anytime they throw out a date, just know that, something could happen, but it could happen somewhere else. So don't freak out. Don't think that you have to sit near your tablet or your phone waiting for this particular date or this particular time frame, because you're going to make yourself sick. And we can't do that. We have to live our lives. We have to work on becoming better people. We have to raise up in our frequency. We still need to do kind things. We still need to be good people and live our lives. So don't get all wrapped up in all this stuff that's going on. You need to know what's going on, but don't let it control you, and don't let it make you afraid. Because once you're afraid, you're giving the bad guys the power, and they eat that energy. I mean, they just suck it up. The fear, the anger, all of that stuff, the depression, they eat that up. So don't give them that. Don't give it to them. Just try to take deep breaths. Understand that sometimes certain things have to happen a certain way in order for something else to happen. And that's just the best way I can explain it, because that's how God explained it to me. And when you start questioning things, you may not like the answer that you get. So that's the best answer I can give you without finding a dead bird at your door. Hopefully this helps some of you a little bit. I don't want you to think that this is just going to go on for years and years and years, because it's not. Could it? There's a possibility that they could stretch it out. I really don't think so. But until people wake up and they move up in their higher frequency, it continues. And like I said, we can do what we can do to wake people up, but we're not going to wake everybody up. People are just going to wake up when they're ready to. And we can't force them to wake up, just like they couldn't force us to do certain things we didn't want to do. We can't force them to wake up, so we're not going to get angry with them. We're just going to keep them in our prayers, and hopefully that they get it. And then once they get it, you give them a high five or a fist bump, or I don't know, bake them a cake. I don't know. But just know that that's what's going on. So I don't want anybody to give up. It's not going to be easy for us, because the more that we learn, the more awake that we become, the harder it is for us. So just hang in there. I'm hanging in there. you hang in there. And if you have any questions without arguing, then definitely ask me, and I'll try to answer them the best I can. But no one has to agree with everything I say. That's beside the point. You neither can accept what I have and say, okay, that resonates with me, or it doesn't resonate with you. But no one has to leave anything ugly. And I've seen some people tell me I'm fear-mongering or whatever. I know I'm not. Take it for what it is. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell people the possibility of things that could happen. I'm not going to say that this is definitely going to happen. There's always a possibility. And the reason I say that is because once you know that there's a possibility, then you have the chance to change it. Just like when I read someone's cards, I don't tell them this is definitely going to happen. I always tell them, this is what could happen, but it's always up to you. If you don't like what you're seeing here, then you start making the changes today so it will change this outcome, because it doesn't have to happen this way. And that's just the truth. If you don't like the way your life is, then change it. And you can change it by making different friends. You can change it by moving. You can change your life by doing a different job. You can always change things that are going on around you. Don't say you can't, because you can. It's that simple. You don't like the guys that you're meeting. Well, quit going to the same places, meeting the same type of guys. Quit hanging around the same type of friends. Make different friends. You'll meet different guys. It's just that simple, but no one wants to see it as that simple. Everybody wants to make things so complicated, and it doesn't have to be. So whatever I tell you, it doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. We can change it. We can make it better. And that's what I really want. I want things to be even much better than what I saw. But it takes each of us to want the same thing and to work together to accomplish that goal. And we can definitely do it, guys. We can definitely do it. So take care of yourself. Be prepared. Be ready for anything. Because remember, we're getting close to the end here. Just keep your eyes open, your ears open, and pay attention to everything, even things you think that aren't important. Pay attention to them. Do good deeds. Do the good deeds because you want to do the good deeds, not because someone's telling you to do good deeds. Because there's a total difference in doing something for someone and you didn't really mean to do it, or you didn't want to do it, and then doing it because you didn't even think about it, you just did it because that's your nature. And the more that you think this way, the more that you'll just notice that you just do things without even thinking about it. Slowing down to let a turtle cross the road. Next thing you know, you're slowing down. You see kids and elderly people. Next thing you're getting out of your car and helping the elderly lady cross the street. I mean, you'd just be surprised. It just keeps going and going and going, and that's where we want to go. That's the type of people we want to be. And I'm inspiring each of you to be that type of person, because that's going to be a beautiful place to live, with people just like that. People who want to be that way. And there won't be any problems. There really won't, because everybody will be there to help you. You fall down, someone's going to pick you up in the future. You're not going to be laying in the street by yourself, people just driving past you. People are literally going to stop the world to get to you, to help you. And if you don't understand how beautiful that is, you'll never, ever be alone in the future. Never. I'm not talking about people spying on you. I'm just saying, if you need help, you open up your door and you yell help, I mean, people are going to come running to you. It's not going to be like it is right now. It's not. No one has any idea what I felt and what I saw. It's a whole different level. And it's going to take us a few years to get there. But we will be there, and I will see it in my lifetime. And so will you. But in order for it to happen, we have to make it happen. So that you have to understand. It's not just going to happen. We have to make it happen. We have to manifest it. So if this is what you would like a world like that, then it will be a world like that. You have to make it happen. And only people that think that way, that want that type of world, are the ones that are going to go forward. Because like I said, evil can't come. It just can't come. And I hope that you understand that more now than maybe you did before. But it doesn't mean that we lose our free will. And I get really tired of the truthers always talking about, oh, there'll be no evil. Well, of course there's not going to be any evil, but you can't make it sound like people won't do bad things, because human nature, we do. We do stupid things. We're going to do some bad things. We just have to learn from them, and we need people to love them and help them realize that they did something wrong, teach them the right way, and make sure they never do it again. That's going to be the difference. We're not going to be chopping off people's hands or locking them away for 50 years and throwing away a key and forgetting they're there. We're not going to do things like that. We're going to make sure these people understand. That's the difference. So it doesn't mean that there's not going to be bad things happening. There will, just not the type of bad things that are happening now. That's a good thing. So I can handle someone, throwing a rock through a window occasionally. I can handle someone knocking down my mailbox occasionally. I talk about it in general in the world. But as far as what's going on now, no, we won't be back at this level unless we allow it to happen. And that's what we cannot do. So keep educating yourself, keep reaching out spiritually, keep praying, and keep understanding. If you got any questions, you can always reach out to me. You can reach out to me here. You can find me on my Telegram channel, or you can email me. Like I said, my Facebook page, I don't log into it unless you want to go through Jackie's Crystals and More and send me a message through that and say, hey, I saw your video and I want to ask you a question. And then I can message you that way through the messenger. But otherwise, it's going to be all right. And I will get back on here again. I just don't do a whole lot of videos like I want to sometimes, because I'm just not compelled to do them. And it takes a lot of energy to sit out here and open up my soul and say these things to complete strangers, knowing that it's going to be out here forever and ever and ever until YouTube just disappears. And whether or not my words go with us in the future or not, I don't know. So it's really hard to sit here and do this. It really is. And I was never one to want to do things like this until God told me that He needed me to do these things. So if I'm not on for a while, it's not because I forgot. It's not because I don't care. It's just because I'm not compelled to do it. But today, God needed me to remind everybody that He loves you, that you're a beautiful person, and you're going to do wonderful things. And He wants you to hang on, because He's coming, and this is going to end. But it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be for everybody. So He wants you to understand that. What you're going to see in those 8-hour sessions on the TV set are going to be really hard. And He wants you to remember that He's there with you. He's going to be sitting right there with you. And He's going to help you the whole way through it. And He's going to help you afterwards. He never left you. He never will. All right, so you have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all later.